5, 4, 3.
7-star citizens, and welcome to Answer the Call, your weekly podcast and call-in show where we talk all things Star Citizen, and we are a month away from CitizenCon and finally seeing things from last CitizenCon. Isn't that cool? Hello, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you? How's it going?
I'm great. I didn't have like a really good, funny top meme to do at the start, so I just decided to say that.
Yeah, it's perfect. If you guys are familiar, with the Answer the Call, then you're familiar. But if you're not, this is the Answer the Call podcast where we talk about Star Citizen with me and Croncy, but we also open up the calls to you. That's the call part, where, we're two content creators. A lot of people get to hear what we say, but not a lot of people get to hear what you say. So we try to give you our platform and let you share your thoughts on the topic we're talking about. Today's topic, we're mostly going to talk about engineering. There was obviously a really big and I would say somewhat successful server meshing test as well. So we obviously have to talk about that. Please, guys, let me know if my mic goes out on the live stream because my software is doing this. It's frozen. A lot of people complain that my mic's not loud enough. So I was like, oh, let me just check and make sure the volume's good. And it just froze. So, but it appears to be working. So we're just going to roll with it. Yeah. You want to just start with the server meshing stuff and then get into engineering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was only really like two big things this week, and the other one is obviously very, very big with the topic.
Did you get in on the server meshing test while it was going on?
Nope.
Me neither. So it's
well, like I didn't get on at all in that 24 hours because CIG really like to put these tests on the exact day that I cannot do them. So instead, I watched you do it.
Yeah, and I did it on the. So you didn't get in at all?
No.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. I did not get in during the rush to everything, and it was. I would expect the rush would have been the worst possible experience. You know what I mean? Where people are talking about dealing with like ATC issues, elevator issues.
Yep.
Those kind of things, right? And I didn't experience that because I got on about 12 hours after the test started, right? So I got on when, and I'll play a video here for you guys, but I actually turned off the intro just now. Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'll play a little video. This is Morphologist's test. Him and I were both on the same server at the same. So I was on his server while he was doing this. He was at Microtech and just trying to gather people into an 890 jump to break some record for the amount of people on a ship.
Yep.
I was like, I'm not going anywhere near those guys. I want to see what server performance feels like because we never have server performance. Morph was like, hold on, let me try to ruin my server performance as fast as possible. So I went the opposite direction. I asked where he was, and he was at Microtech, and I just went to like a totally different area and just avoided them at all costs. I did mining, which is very server performance related, and I checked out AI, which is obviously very server performance related. And
I was gonna say when I hopped in, you were being a very bad boy, but it was pretty consistent.
Yeah, and those were the bad AI. So I think when you hopped in, I was just like murder hoboing. I don't remember where I was. I was at a distro center. So that was on Morph's server, or that was a 15 FPS server, and that's basically what he was experiencing. Was about 10 to 15 FPS. I was on Daymar, which happened to be on a different server. Some moons were on the same server as Morph. Some moons were not. I don't know what they were. They did not tell me, at least nobody in my chat said, this is, this is one server, that's another server. They were very clear with that on the first tests, but they were not very clear about that on this test, at least from what I can tell. Like, I was on Daymar, had 30 FPS. I was on Yella, had 15. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like not making a lot of sense. On Daymar, we went to, I always forget the name of it, but it's the Crash 600i. I don't remember the name of the location.
Sure, yeah.
It doesn't matter, though. And had 30 FPS, and the AI reacted, and pushed towards sounds, and it was very, Whistler's Crypt. Thank you, guys. It was very impressive. The 15 FPS, they fought against me. They shot at me. They hurt me. But they were not anywhere near as scary, I guess. So there was
To
definite
confirm as
difference.
well, during the test, at least we'll say in regards to the Whistler's Crypt, roughly how many people were on your server at that time?
350 out of 500. Yeah, so yeah, I should have mentioned that. We were playing in the morning, like, really early morning US time, midday EU. Nobody was playing, right? In comparison, there was only one server running, and there were only 350 people. So, the day when everybody is rocking and going super hard, that we didn't experience that. So we experienced things where it was like, yo, there is some tangible progress going on here. But everybody else said the 500 player test felt like the 350 test from the previous week, which 350 test was like decent. And now you added an extra 150 players, right? So that's good. And then the 1,000 player test was pretty bad, but there was tangible improvements seen. And we've talked about this for months. That's all we wanted to see, or that's all I wanted to see, right?
Yeah. Now, all these tests, once again, my understanding was there was still no missions. Like the contract system was still not up. So obviously there's going to be a lot of bugs that are going to arrive from that, as well as like issues with people trying to accept all the same missions and stuff, I imagine.
Yes.
Once we get into more tests of that. But watching you and hearing that from you, that was echoed like across the entire community. Like so many people really, really happy with how the 500 and less sort of servers ended up going. And that got me really excited because last week, that first test, once again, I didn't get to participate, but everything that I was hearing from everyone was that it was kind of a shit show. So
it was horrible. It was not fun. Like the first 500 was a joke. Like we were stuck on the menu if you weren't the first, few people to get in. The 1,000 player test was unplayable, and the 350 player test was like, oh, well, it's better than the other ones. That was kind of the feeling. Like I was very happy to have gotten to my ship and jumped before a 30K. Like that was the level of standard that was set by the first two tests. So I think people were like a little, I guess, excited over very little because the first two tests were so bad with 350. This one, I mean, outside of we were 30K'ing pretty consistently every hour or every 2 hours. Outside of that, we were able to play the game aside from missions, right? Like you were able to go there and do things and accomplish like getting out of your ship and flying around. It felt like you were playing Star Citizen, a limited version of it, I guess, but it was there, right? Where the other test was like, what am I doing? what is my goal here other than just being an ant, right?
So, with that in mind, obviously, like I imagine that we'll probably get another test this coming week, or like maybe the week after, depending on them doing more of these. Where do you think CIG are aiming for this first server meshing implementation? Because it's starting to feel like
1,
what I said months ago was way wrong. That's what I'm saying. I think I originally said like double the player count, double the locations. You sort of have everyone in the same spot. It really feels like they're going hard for 1,000.
Yeah, which I think that's the number that I would feel the most comfortable with across two systems, and Pyro being a really big one. I still don't think we'll feel that MMO feel very much. It depends. It really, really depends on things like how popular are contested zones. Like how good are the funneling elements of the game, right? Is Jumptown going to be just absolutely bonkers?
Oh, that would be a mess,
right?
You would have to like sort of modify it so that you have all of the Jumptown zones active at once. Otherwise,
no,
it'll be crazy.
Not necessarily. What if you just had that moon be a server by itself? No,
I mean more. It would be the gameplay would be so bad if 1,000 people were just on top of Jumptown as it is right now.
Oh, really?
That would be the worst.
I mean,
it'd be very fun once, I will say.
Yes,
really,
I think
really
that's where my mind is. That's where my mind is. It would be. I think it's something that we need to see.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's where I'll keep it. But yeah, you're probably right that there has to be like, I don't know if they should put hard limits on things, but
no, you don't have to put hard limits, but you got to at least entice people to not all dogpile into one location. Like another thing that sort of concerns me about it is like when we do have an event like Xenothread, which Jumptown, not the entire server will go to Jumptown. The entire server will go to Xenothread, right? That'll be a proper mess. So they've been introducing things into the game for higher player counts, like the distribution centers. Like they've been throwing missions at us and like amounts of missions at us. But in terms of like single places where a lot of stuff is going to happen, that's where I'm a little bit scared now.
Yeah.
That 1,000 people may be too much, but
yeah, it feels like that's what they're trying to go for. Benoit's actually here in chat right now. And well,
yep.
I haven't confirmed with anybody that it's Benoit, but I will. I'll message someone on my phone, which I don't know where it is. So I can't give him a diamond yet, but we'll go off the basis that Balt is almost certainly Benoit.
Yep.
And
go
ahead.
The second thing that I was just going to mention, if if 1,000 does end up still being too much of an issue, would you be satisfied with 500 temporary with 500 for like a 4.0?
Yeah, I would be satisfied with any improvement on what we have now. It just it depends on like what satisfied means. I guess for me is we all know what the end goal is, and that the idea of server meshing is to prove that you can make Star Citizen, and Star Citizen was always meant to be an MMO, and always and I've always played MMOs, and MMOs look more like this than they do what we have, right?
Yeah.
Way more like this. He's at Wally's bar, but I was talking earlier on my stream, every MMO has that place where everyone hangs out. Right? And yeah, that's what I expect the game to look like, is you walk by and you're like, whoa, where'd you get that armor? Oh, I did it on this mission. Cool. How many people did you like that thing is what's lacking. Do we get that with 500 players with 2 huge star systems? No. No.
Maybe. Well, I would actually say maybe, but because yeah, that's true. But I will say it will be, regardless of the increase, as long as it is more than 100 to 200. That's going to be massive just in general from like every perspective, because we've only had 50 and 100s before, right? We had a test that was 120 for like a couple of PTU patches or something. So there's going to be a lot of things that I imagine we haven't seen before happening, like perhaps dynamic piracy actually being a thing to watch out for, right? Because the server limits are going to be high enough that it'll be worth it. Yeah.
Like, especially if they're doing, like we've seen, they've taken drugs out of the Stanton system, like for sell spots or buy spots. Buy spots are out of, sell spots are still there, but buy spots are not. So, the idea of piracy and smuggling and, like these choke points, like jump points and all sorts of stuff is going to be really interesting. The more players you add, the more interesting it gets, I think. It's just, so why would I ever complain about 500 players, right? To properly answer your question, I'll never complain about that.
I mean more as like, do you feel like 500 is enough for a temporary? I guess
the best way to answer that question is it depends on how long temporary is.
Not temporary, right?
Yeah. It's my big thing with them is they very consistently will put something in. They'll put some sort. You always have these guys come in and say, the coders, we did this. We made this tech. It scales. It does this. It could do this. It could do that if and when the designers get their hands on it. And then nobody puts their hands on anything, or they put it on at the very tier 0 level, and then they move on to the next thing. Server meshing is not something you move on to the next thing. You move on to improving it, optimizing it, and then I guess you do move on to the next thing for dynamic, right? I'll read out what Benoit said. He said they're aiming for another tech preview this week if the improvements on what we measured this week come in. Some of the tech like RMQ is actually live in 324.1, which we do know, which will already help with interaction delay log jams, which we saw in 323.1. Yeah. And obviously there's still those, but he had made a post on Spectrum saying that, other things cause that as well. And I think they definitely improved on that in this week's test. So they're on it. And it's just, the vibe that I have is to get to a 4.0 decent-ish experience. It feels like, and why you're seeing a lot of creators say server meshing worked is because the vibe and feel that you have is, it just is going to take a little bit more optimization. It's like optimization stuff. Instead of, whoa, this is a shit show, this is a disaster, everything's broken. Yeah, there was 30Ks. Yes, there's tons of problems. And like we didn't even have AI. And I really suggest you guys watch the Morphologist video because he points out some like very glaring issues with party systems, the menu, chats, like all sorts of things that just don't make sense in a server meshed environment with more than 100 players. And there's a lot they need to do to get us there.
He also brings up an issue which we haven't experienced a lot recently, which is just like your system may struggle to have this many people on screen.
Yep.
You know, even with Morph's like insanely beefy super to the max system, you know, he was struggling to reach like 20 FPS after he had like more than 50 people in front of him.
Yo, this is the most hilarious chat from Benoit. We need more gateways for XL hangars. You guys all have XLs. Yep. And there's literally only 2 ships that give you an XL hangar, I think. It's a Reclaimer, which probably a lot of people have because it's so overpowered, and an 890 jump for the whales, I guess.
I'm doing my part. I only have a large hangar, so I'm okay. I'm allowed.
Thank you. Good job. I am doing my part, and I have the XL hangar to let them know that they need more. But yeah, it's I feel so much better this week than I did last week about it, because again, it just feels like they have a foundation to build upon. It's very shaky for now, but a foundation to build upon. So that's awesome. Strong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it feels like we really need. So
yeah, outside this week, there was a couple hot fixes that didn't do much. One of the main fixes was like trying to fix the outpost elevators. That shit didn't work. They're still completely busted.
And it's Pirate Week. That was a thing that happened.
I'll bring this up. That bothered me this week. This week just can't
have an episode without Mike being mad at least at one thing.
I'm not mad about it, but it's just like, it's like, come on, bro, kind of a moment, I guess. Is you got Pirate Week, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. It's just a marketing thing. Pirate Week has always just been a marketing thing.
Yeah, of course.
There's never really been anything for it in game. The liveries, what do you think?
I think they're cool.
I think they look cool. Are they something you are interested in, like buying, or no?
Not particularly, no.
Me neither.
The skins that I've been more interested in recently are either bright colors, just because I think there should be more ships with just give me like a neon like pink ship, right? I think that's cool. Or like more intricate designs, kind of like how we had like the graffiti on the Vulture recently.
That one's badass, and that one makes more sense. Like, I think the problem with the choices they made here are only one of these ships is used in piracy consistently. You can argue that the Scorpius is, but like a Vulture,
you gotta salvage the Rex, I guess.
Yeah,
the
like,
M50 is the weirdest one.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like, what the heck? I think they just like the fact that the skull is on the cockpit, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was just, I think they would have made 3 times more money if they chose Cutlass, Corsair, Mantis. There's 4 ships here. What would be the last one? Hornet? I don't know. Does Hornet even have paints?
Maybe.
So I know people.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird.
Buccaneer. Yep, there you go. Buccaneer. That's
but then you get into the problem with, while it is like lore accurate, you've then got too many Drake ships all getting the same paints. And while I don't think that's a bad idea, I think they think that might be a bad idea because then you're not marketing to as many people.
Yeah, they're trying to spread the love out, but I don't know. I don't know how well they did on this. I will say, did you see the most disgusting aspect of this that we have to call out?
Before you get to that, just because you scrolled past it,
you want to do this?
I liked this idea
This is what I'm complaining about,
treasure
by
map.
the way.
It's a fun.
This is my complaint.
Okay. Oh no, I think this is cool, but I would like more from it. So I like the idea of like this fun little challenge. Do a little riddle. The only problem is it's one of those things where it's the second that someone figures out what it is, it then just gets posted all over Reddit and all over Twitter and in every single Star Citizen Discord.
Good.
And then you don't do anything. And that's kind of boring.
Good.
Good.
Yep. Good. Because the how much time does it take to place these coins on the pilots of the ships in Blockade Runner? Good.
Like, as in, that's what you would want the reward to be?
Play the game.
Yeah, sure.
Guys, stop playing the game on the website. It's 2024. It's 2024. The game should not be on the website anymore. I'm so sick and tired of this bullshit. The marketing stuff is marketing stuff, but please market the video game. The reason they're marketing here is because right below this shit is where you buy the ships. That's why they did this. That's literally the reason why they did it. Right below
Mike,
this.
It's a fun puzzle.
Yes, that's fine. It is a fun puzzle, but I just want to take more time and effort to prioritizing doing things in the game. Nothing was done in game for this. You can argue that Blockade Runner is, but my whole thing is I'm sick. Like, just we need to stop this stuff. We don't need to stop it, but we need to pair it with in-game stuff.
Sure. Yeah,
and their way of pairing it in game is like, go here and look at an X on a fucking, screen or something. And I'm like, yeah. So somebody's like hearing it later. They should not stop this stuff. It is fun. I'm not knocking this. It's just when the in-game stuff is never a thing, it's always something that bothers me. But if you guys are watching the scroll here, this is the most ridiculous FOMO thing I've seen them do in a really long time. The only place to buy boxes that are only purchasable in game normally is in a $600 pirate pack. Boxes with skulls on them. $600.
Yeah, it's the I don't know if you followed much what happened with like League Worlds. It's the $500 Faker skin. Just if you want, if you're willing to spend $500 on a skin, I got nothing against you, but I wouldn't want to be in charge of your finances.
Well, for me, if you just sold the containers, I would have less of a problem with it.
I would still have no problem with it either way, but I did hear a lot of arguments from people that is interesting, which is surely CRG would have made more money if they released the boxes as like, $20 skin or something, which is kind of curious.
I talk about it all the time on the show. I am totally fine with them making money off of cosmetics.
Yeah.
Not ships. But then you pair them together and put a $600 price tag on them, and it's like you're gonna hear it from me. So that's just what it is. It's just like, I don't want to buy those boxes. I don't think those boxes should be sold, to be honest. I think it should be a skin that when you get a box, you can have it on there. A paint option.
Wait, are they not just skins?
Of course not. Nothing is just skins in this game. So the ships are skins, but when you get a weapon, those aren't skins. That's an item. That I guarantee if I click more info, it'll say.
Yeah, I'm specifically talking about
also
the boxes.
Includes
the boxes, not just skins.
Yeah, look, salvage skull 1 SCU container. That means it is a separate item from the other 1 SCU containers. These fucking clowns have been doing this for years, and all it's doing is making it their life 10 times harder when they actually have to make a real paint system, because then they're going to have to revert all of this stuff in the future and then provide the salvage skull 1 SCU container paint to somebody instead of...
See, the trick is, Mike, the paint system just won't happen.
Probably not, because they've made it impossible.
But yeah, I had just assumed these were just skins for like cargo. This actually makes it worse, as in like, I think it's way more boring now. I thought that this was like, I buy 600 SEU of cargo, I get to put the pirate skin on that, and that's kind of cool.
It
But
depends
if it's literally
on
just a storage container, that's actually kind of boring.
yes, but it depends on how you look at things. So think about the level of rarity this will have 10 years from now. Say the game ends up coming out and is good.
Yeah.
The level of rarity of that item is going to be insanely high because most people aren't stupid enough to get this thing. Right? And the ones that are stupid enough are going to be like, I'm a trillionaire in Star Citizen because I literally have the rarest item in the game. Right? And that's the idea behind this. That's the FOMO grab for some people here is, okay, well, I can melt some ships. I'll get this package. And then when the game comes out, I'm not going to use any of this crap. I might use the Vulture, or they might have all these ships. So then they'll just be like, all right, I'll do this, plus I get that bonus. And then I'll sell it in game or have it in game or whatever, right? It's, it's how I look at things because I was always like a rare collector. I loved doing that. And when I see this, I go, all right, I have to grind tons of money and I'll buy this from somebody who paid real money for it, I guess. And that's that, you know? But yeah, I mean, I think we harped on this for a really long time. They have other paints as well. The silvery one and all the old ones and stuff like that. And they went for the, if you're a subscriber, some of the subscriber flare stuff that you can get. So cool. Not really, but... but that's where we are. So other thing, Blockade Runner is broken, so it's kind of hard to enjoy. That was my experience. How was yours?
So I was able to do it 2 nights in a row, and
Did you finish?
it is and
I
it is
never
so
finished.
boring.
Okay, it's boring because how many times did you kill a ship that should have a box in it that didn't?
No times. It worked perfectly for us both times.
Every single ship that should have cargo had cargo in it.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Australian servers, Mike.
I'm going Australia then, I guess, because
but
me,
like no one. I was just gonna say no one was doing it, and that was the biggest problem. There was
problem,
no one.
But that was your success.
Yeah, I guess that's why it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like you compare it to, remember, the event that it is essentially replacing, which is Ninetales Lockdown. There's way less of a sense of community. Even like the really cool thing about the Ninetales Lockdown is that everyone that was fighting together, not in 6 different locations. There was no one on our servers doing like the evil person side, trying to steal cargo from us. That just didn't happen at all. Which kind of sucked because we were kind of prepped for it, right? I don't hate the idea of, destroying ships, grabbing the cargo, delivering it. I think that's a cool like mission loop. But as a dynamic event, it felt super underwhelming.
Yeah, for me, I think it is like NPC based piracy, and as always, very, very lacking in story or feel. Right, which is the usual, but just interacting with new boxes, the timer, so my experience, I guess I should share, is 90% of the ships that we blew up that were supposed to have cargo in it did not have cargo in it. So we would go to 4 to 5 locations before we ever got a single ship with a box. And then, if you went with a multi-crew ship, sometimes your lasers were a bit powerful for the smaller ships, so you would blow them up instead of soft death them because it was impossible to soft death them. And I was not the only one having that experience. Elliot called it out as an issue that they're trying to fix. So, like, when you said, did you see, like, the surprise on my face? Because I just assumed everybody was having the same experience as me. And I was just hanging out waiting for a fix. But then one of my org mates said, come join us. So I guess they're having good experiences as well still. But my initial experience was not good. And it was really boring. It was 3 hours, and we got about 200 SCU total out of the 1,000.
I was also going to say, like, the mission does take like a little bit of time, which is fine. The payout is unbelievably trash, whether you're doing either side of the mission, to the point where I haven't fully done the math. I think if you just solo delivery missions, regular like 3-box delivery missions, you will make more per hour. So
Wow.
that's obviously a thing. I imagine that is a thing that almost certainly will change, because that sort of stuff does change quite a lot. But I don't know. Yeah, it made me miss Ninetales Lockdown. I was really sad about it.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, every time that we got cargo, it was like, damn, this feels good. But I just wasn't having it that often. And one of the experiences that I really enjoyed was because it was taking so long, we would look at the timer on the first boxes that we got, and we're like, oh, we got to go turn this in. So then we would go, we would turn it in, and then we would go back out. Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to things that I say all the time here is I'm so sick and tired of them feeling like they are the ones that need to provide the content for players when they just need to provide the tools so players can create content for themselves. And this very much felt of, we're going to handhold you throughout the entire process, and agreed. It was pretty boring. I was drooling by the end of it. It was so boring.
Yeah.
So
I will say there's one way that I do see this event succeeding. Obviously, like, imagine the bugs are gone. Obviously, like what you've experienced, and I have heard that from other people. Is that this is the kind of event that I could see, as long as the payout was high enough, this could happen once every like 2 days on a server, random chance, be an actual dynamic event that would work. It doesn't need to be more complex. It doesn't need to be like a Xeno threat. And it can run more frequently and just be like, oh, hey guys, oh man, for 1 hour of the last 48 hours, everyone's piling in this one area and doing this one mission, and then everyone disappears again. Those sort of things happen in other MMOs. Just literally random 1 time a day events. I think it could work that way.
Yeah. Also, chat is just slamming Benoit with questions the entire time. And it's like, that's the best way to scare a dev away, guys. Good job. Is just spamming him with questions that he probably can't answer. So I would, if you're going to ask him stuff, I would just stick to the RMQ test and the server meshing test stuff, guys. But I think I would want to move on to engineering if anything else sticks out to you.
That's all I can remember from
There was a
week.
roadmap update, but all it was saying that MFDs were going to be in 323.x, which is probably
it was all the stuff that we've been told before, just like the confirmations of them. So.
Yep. All right, so I do not know if this is going to play sound or not. So this entire time, my audio software has been completely broken. I've wanted to mute so I can open up a can of seltzer, and I haven't been able to yet. So I might just do that right now. I'm just letting everybody be prepared for it. But I think this was, and I feel like I've said this quite a few times this year.
You have, which is a good sign. That's a good thing.
The best ISC we've had. They keep getting better. But this is the best ISC, not from like that was really entertaining to watch. That was really informed. Like, this was, they got down to the nitty gritty, and I think that they explained their system really, really well, to the point where I understand it perfectly on what I think our experience is going to be. And I like some of it, and I don't like some of it. I don't like one particular thing, but they have been telling us it's going to be a thing for years, so we'll get into it. But what would you like to start with, I guess?
So yeah, if it wasn't obvious, we're talking about engineering.
Yes,
and
which is going to be the topic
ISC
for the
about
calls.
engineering.
Yeah,
because it's going to be this is going to be the biggest change in your day-to-day gameplay since probably inventory was brought in, I feel like. So it's going to be a massive deal, and they go through a lot of the they've talked about fire this season already. They've talked about repairing a little bit, I think, and now we actually get to see what the system is going to look like, and when you go into a larger ship, what your gameplay is going to feel like. And I'm a big fan.
Me too.
The amount of complexity that the engineering has, I think, is super appropriate for most large ships, because you've got to imagine the person is going to be not just doing power assignment, which seems to be most of the UI gameplay, at least. But you're also obviously going to then be going off to do your repairing, doing your, getting rid of fires, that sort of stuff, changing your modules out. So I think it's a good amount of gameplay just for, over the course of whatever your play session is. I'm really impressed.
It it's basically what they have been saying for a really long time, that we want to get away from this health system on our ships. We want the components to be what decides what happens to your ships. I think, a question that I asked my chat when I had watched this live was, I was just wondering if I was just, in the minority of how I felt about this. I am so sick and tired of losing my ship, but like it, even though it's the same ship, it's the same type of ship. I get it back. It's completely refreshed. It's empty. I want my ship to feel like it's my ship. Like what we're kind of doing with the hangars. You're placing your stuff in there, and that's not that persistent, unfortunately, right now. But the experience would be like, I left my coffee cup, to use Chris Roberts's meme for the last 5 years, of like, I leave my coffee cup in my ship, and that's my coffee cup, and I come back to it and I drink my coffee from that every day. And that kind of thing. Or I always have my gun racks full, or I start to see wear and tear on it, right? That kind of thing. I feel like right now we do play sessions with our ship and then they're reset.
Yes.
And that experience is very important to me. So the idea of ship health not being a thing anymore, and I could swap a component out and my ship isn't completely dead, is the most important feature that this tech provides. But the second most important was what they just kind of sneaked at there, and we'll talk about later, which is armor. And I think we'll talk about that in just a second. I do want to talk about something that I think people got very confused about. I can't remember exactly what they were pissed off about, but I remember the feeling of they did not listen to what these people said whatsoever. So the power plant is the thing that decides whether or not your ship explodes. Right?
If it goes critical, they mentioned there is a chance that your ship will blow up.
And that's the key there, is the chance. So there's a chance it would go critical. There's a chance it would explode. And it sounds like you would have plenty of warning time to deal with it if you had the appropriate tools to deal with it. So RMC and a tool to fix it or whatever, right? Or swap out the component altogether. And that stuff doesn't take a lot of time. And if you have other people in your ship, it really doesn't take a lot of time. It's quite simple. And we also heard, a while back that, repairing from soft death, they wanted to have be a thing. They don't have to worry about that anymore. This is repairing from soft death, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That idea of soft death just disappeared after this video, which is great. Stop, soft death. Not anymore. It's, their power went off. We're good.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they'll have to address, I think, is if you use distortion weapons now and ship's power turn off, they do not come to a stop quickly. But when you soft death the ship, it stops. Yeah. They would just need to address that part, and then that's it. I think they're in pretty good shape. So
they may not need to, because you could just, like, the answer could literally just be, well, you got to use tractor beams now,
Could be. Yeah, could be, but we'll see on that. I think that's not the worst idea ever, for sure. I'm not going to argue against that. But people were very upset by this idea. I noticed they were like, that's so tedious. And I'm like, wait a second, bro. It's way more tedious to end up back at the space station, drive 35 trains, claim your ship, wait 10 minutes, and go
claim
again.
It like 4 times, so it works in the first place. But
yeah, like, what tedium are we talking about here? So,
yeah, as well as like this allows them to do so many things that I feel like they've wanted to do in the past, because everything you just said a little bit about before, we're incentivizing people to keep their ships and work off their ships and not claim them, try to work with them not being destroyed.
Yeah.
Not my brain lost. Claim times. That's where I was trying to go.
Yep.
They've been wanting to like do things like increase claim times for so long. They've done
this
it.
Is their
I want to say
to.
2 times. Yeah, I want to say they've done it 2 times.
They've tried
as a failure.
to do it. Yeah,
exactly. They had to revert it like almost immediately both times.
Yep.
But it's clearly a thing they want to do, because you want to try to incentivize people to use the ships for longer. So, this is exactly how I want this to be.
Yeah, same. And then I think for me, the most game-changing experience, and you really had to listen to them to truly understand how deep this might be and how cool this might be. But I think that they explained it quite a bit, is what they're showing right now. And I'll pause it right there. Freelancer ship armor. What the hell is that? And that is awesome. And the way they explained it was very simple. It's and they also said that this is the tier 0 system, where a more complex system will happen. Obviously, that's Maelstrom, right?
Yeah.
That's very clear. I wish they would have just said that, but maybe they're doing something else. Who knows? But they are applying armor to every ship. What we don't know about it is Freelancer ship armor the name of the armor for the Freelancer, or are we actually going to go with certain materials and what they probably should do, right? And maybe that's the more complex system. But for now, it sounds like Freelancer ship armor will apply this value and will have this health. So, this is from Benoit, so we might as well read it since it's relative to what we're talking about. Ships also need to survive collisions and random explosions much better too, so you can keep and use your ship longer, repair it, and keep going. That way, increasing times is not that important. And I gotta say, when we saw the Maelstrom demo at CitizenCon last year, I was like, well, that's not happening, because the ships collided together and turned into, like Rice Krispies. So I was like, I was like, what? But yeah, I imagine that was just for the demo to show how many pieces these things can break into. And obviously, when somebody who is very high up in the company decides to say that this is something they want to do, then my level of fear that Maelstrom would make collisions and things really bad is now gone. So that's good. But yeah, on the armor front, what armor does is some weapons have armor piercing capabilities. When your armor is up, it will reduce how much pierce those have. And if weapons don't have armor pierce, I don't think they will get through anything until the armor's down. When armor is down, the armor piercing weapons will be at their maximum level of pierce that they can do. So that's how it was explained in the show. I don't know if everybody else got it that way. Maybe I am me, and I hear things that aren't real sometimes, I guess, when I'm listening to these shows, and people correct me all the time, right? And others have that happen as well. But that's how I understood it. So ballistics tend to be armor piercing, while laser weapons are armor damaging weapons. So shields just kind of are whatever, I guess, because everything takes shields down, but...
Yeah, like everything taking shields down, I think, is fine, just because it's a different type of health. So it's still it's still interesting enough and still like a cool mechanic. But
yeah, I will say it's the most anti-sci-fi thing that they're doing, because shields are like, the moment your shields come down in sci-fi, that's when everything is over. In Star Citizen, your shields come down like this, and it's like, how long can I survive?
The shields are down. All right, we got 30 minutes, guys.
Yeah. So that's we'll see how they go with that, but I'm just obsessed with the idea of this, because the other factor is, well, this is Freelancer armor. What does Hammerhead armor mean? Does it mean that a size 3 weapon or a anti-ship weapon from a Gladius, will it just shrug that off? Because they've always talked for many, many years about the idea of, when armor comes in, that big ships will shrug off smaller rounds.
Yeah.
And we're not dealing with a lot of these problems that we have dealt with for many years, where these small, nimble fighters are able to just absolutely demolish larger ships. And we have our own issues with turrets and tracking and aiming and all that stuff. That's a whole separate issue. But this is a direction they've always wanted to go in, and it looks like it's happening. So I feel very positive about this.
Even with that, it's not just the armor. This entire system is once again incentivizing people to use multi-crew ships, because they'll survive for longer. The fact that you like once again, they still need to do stuff with the weapons, but like an engineer running around a hammerhead doing repairs, as well as certain parts of the hammerhead getting destroyed rather than just the entire hammerhead all at once because the cockpit is a critical damage zone, whatever, just isn't going to be a thing anymore. So I'm really, really excited for this in so many ways, because it's not just the way that you're going to interact with your ships, but it's also going to change the way that you're interacting with other people's ships, how you're going to target them. And like, we got to experience obviously a little bit of this in the experimental modes, but it seems so much more fleshed out. And it seems like, and literally only looks like, because we haven't fully gotten this yet, that they've knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. And bye, Benoit. Benoit says he's got to go. So thank you. As I've been saying this to a lot of developers that have stopped by the chat lately. Thank you for caring enough about the game that we care so much about. So thank you. We appreciate you. To come into a Twitch chat and answer questions. It just shows their enthusiasm and stuff for the game and that they care so much. So
yeah, we appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Trying to think of other things on the engineering side that. Oh,
sorry. Now that he's gone, man, server meshing sucks.
No, I mean, I've never felt this good, so I'm scared. Last time I felt this good was CitizenCon last year.
I was gonna say CitizenCon's 1 month away, Mike.
Yeah,
they're ramping you back up.
No, definitely not.
Yep. So there was, I had a
the panels they changed, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I do like the panels. I like the UI design in general. Seems great. I do hope that they've fixed the issue with like standing at these terminals and then G-forces throwing you every which way. So hopefully that stuff has been sorted. But I foresee an issue that I don't like a lot in terms of gameplay when this happens. So I'm in a multi-crew ship with a couple of people. We have like engineer. We have some spare parts and whatnot. But because of the fight that we're in, we lose all of our critical components and whatnot. Even if it's against NPCs, there's like, it feels like gameplay wise, when are you ever going to be repairing the ship back to capacity and not just die? When are players and NPCs going to stop firing at you most of the time from a gameplay perspective?
Can you try to? I'm very unsure what you're trying to get at. Sorry.
So they talk about in this, you have issues. You try to repair your ship back to
your ship's down, right?
Capacity, so you can get out. Yeah, your ship's down. You're never repairing that ship because the NPC or the player is just going to kill you. Maybe the player won't if they're doing like piracy or something, but like the gameplay that they're talking about, I feel like may not happen. They're like small fixes, like I've lost a shield generator, or I've my power plant's a little damaged, whatever. Of course you'll get that stuff, but I just feel like you're never going to be repairing from downed.
Oh, okay. I think I can touch on that. I think they can only blow you up if they blow up the power plant. So take it out.
No, but it is still a 100% loss. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because then they have to board you.
That could be interesting, actually.
Yeah. So if your ship is down, they can no longer do the whole I'm going to lower your health to 0 and make you explode. So if you remove the power plant, they can't destroy it anymore. Well, yeah, you can't remove a size 3. So size 3 is that is their own problem, their own mistakes. They fucked that up, and it's that's on them. Complain about it until they fix it. Okay, but on size 2 and size 1s, you remove it. I mean, and you can't do this on the light fighters. They also talked about armor, by the way, only protecting internal components, not external.
Yeah, and I will say, if you're in a live fighter or something like that, I do still expect those ships to explode a lot more often, just in general.
Yep, as they should.
Like, yeah, so I think that's fine. But you made a good point. If that is the case, if we are able to literally just take out the power plant to stop it from exploding, and then there's other gameplay that has to happen for people to fight you, then I guess that'd be fine. So
they gotta board you.
You maybe have alleviated my concerns.
Yep. If they're going to kill you, they have to board you, and that that really should be the Star Citizen way, is you
Or
go
get
from
lucky.
or get lucky.
with the critical power play.
Go from ship to FPS.
Yeah.
I cannot remember if in the engineering test we were able to shoot players inside the ships. If I remember correctly, we were not. It was only components that were damaged. So fingers crossed they keep it that way and you're not just shooting through the hull trying to kill players the whole time, because that would be just boring.
Yeah,
and it would essentially be what we have now, where people just nose down at people on the surface of a moon and use their ship because they know that the person, if they don't have a railgun, can't kill them. Right? So it's or even if they do have a railgun, can't kill them faster than you can kill them. And it's just boring. So I share similar fears to you, but I don't think my fear is as intense as yours on that front.
Yeah, sure.
My fear is here. My fear is on venting atmosphere.
Okay.
I think this gameplay is incredibly tedious. It feels like incredibly boring. I constantly have to pay attention every time I open a door when 90% of the ships open doors to like the whole ship. And yeah, it's just like, oh my God, Johnny left his helmet off again. This idiot died again. and you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm Johnny, right? Is like, this stuff's going to happen all the time. And I just don't think that's fun.
Yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. I like the idea.
Before you mention anything, I have to address what people are saying in chat, because a couple of people said, well, won't you wear a helmet? So what happens in the future if you wear a helmet is it's not going to be pulling oxygen from the room, and your suit will be vacuumed as it should be. So your suit will run out of oxygen if you're wearing, like, the idea is you take the armor off while you're in the ship. Okay? So there you go. Sorry, Croncy.
No, you're all good. The idea of like resource management with that sort of stuff, I think that can be fun. But you make a good point of like, if you're in literally the image they showed, a constellation where the only rooms that are like the entire cargo room, there's like 5 different doors that go to the outside, right? And I imagine there's I would have to look at every ship, but I imagine there's quite a few other ships that are exactly like that. And I can definitely see a situation where it's like, God damn it, I opened that one door again, and now we've got like only 20% oxygen left, and we've got to go back to things. So there could be some pulling teeth with
yes. That's what I feel like this is going to be like. And we got this guy like Drail in my org that every time we go mining, the rocks explode and we die. I feel like he's just trolling at this point. I can't tell. But I just know that oh, man, the door opened. I don't know what happened. Yeah. And, it's just going to be like that constantly. So, I don't, when I see that system, I don't like it. And I know it's something they've been telling us about for many, many years. But the first thing I saw was like the Cutlass door wide open, and they were looking out and they were in a suit and it showed the temperature. And I was like, that's when I would be drinking a drink.
Yeah. Yep. So
and now
we'll have to see how it goes, because they don't mention in this ISC, they don't mention things that they mentioned earlier with like life support systems, as in like the ones that are supposed to be apparently generating oxygen that we're going to be getting at some point. I don't. Well, I must have missed it. But
they talked a bit.
At least like that sort of stuff, we still need to know more about anyway.
They did not talk enough about it. Yeah, sure. They did not like sit down and show that gameplay very much. It was all they said was like, you need to make sure that it's on and it has enough power to be managing the amount of CO2 that you're creating or something like that when people are in the ship. Sure. And I was like, okay, but how much does each person make? And so we don't know enough about the system. But it looked very tedious to me, and I'm very concerned. So, but overall, that's all that comes to mind for me from engineering. And we're hitting that 1 hour mark, so it'd be nice to start thinking about getting to callers. But from a gameplay standpoint, I think this is super strong. Armor is epic. No soft death, no health on a ship anymore, and its armor health, its shield health, and its component health is great.
No, I'm a huge fan of it. I love how the UI design is one of my favorite things about it. The overheating as well, which we didn't really touch on, but there's not much to say about it. It's just things overheat, and you need to make sure you've got your coolers in the right sort of allocations.
I mean, I said they should do Eve stuff where you can overheat your components for a little bonus for a short period of time at the risk of damaging them.
There was overloading in there
Yeah.
that was shown, but once again, yeah, like the specifics about it were not apparent, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited for this. It was a great ISC for them to finish off with for the current season because CitizenCon is in a month, so they're not going to really have time to make any more ISCs over the next couple of weeks. And yeah,
This is it.
Big fan.
Yeah. So we're going to be coming up with some topics for the next few weeks because I don't think there's going to be anything to talk about. I mean, maybe the next server meshing test is just absolutely bonkers incredible, and all we're doing is talking
plus
about
we have to do a CitizenCon prediction episode as well.
Of course. I predict they will say lots of things and not achieve those things in the following year.
I don't know. It seems like a bad bet, Mike. Definitely not based on history at all. Because it's related to our topic, should we do our one question for the show and then move on to callers?
Let's do it. Boom. From Treasend. In regards to larger ship components like size 3 and above, I think we should be able to build them in place from 2 or 3 parts, and they just break when removed, so you're incentivized to repair instead of replacing, and they can balance tractor beam requirements accordingly. Why do you think they chose to make them? Wait, was there more to this? Because that's all I had.
There was, yes.
Okay.
Why do you think they chose to make them not replaceable by crew?
Oh, they didn't choose to make them not replaceable by crew. That's the problem.
Yeah, they just don't have size 3 physicalized components ready, or it literally may be the case that they want to change how they work, which I wouldn't be surprised by, because they do mention they mention in the ISC that they want those of the size 3 largest to actually be like a part of the ship, right?
Yes, but
yeah.
But why? It's because they concepted and made large ships and decided on sizes, and the people who decided on those sizes decided what the size the fucking doors would be and didn't think about the size of the components. That's why.
Yeah.
Art before everything with these guys, and that's what happened. That's literally what happened. Everything else was smaller. Every other component is smaller than an SCU box.
Yeah.
And these items aren't. Therefore, you're just screwed. So
yeah,
I said this. They fucked up. It is what it is. You want to release Star Citizen 1.0 with this? Go for it. But when, once games are released, they usually do like, we take our time, we do like a big expansion, we make big changes to the game, and they have the time to go through every large ship. And I don't know, put an exterior door of some kind that you're able to like move things in and out of and just make it work. Right? From that standpoint.
So with that in mind, do you think what Treasend is saying is a sort of feasible option for that in the future? So basically, like, you have the power plant, but it's actually 3 different items, and then you
3
put that
smaller items that you put in to make a larger one. Yes, done. Genius. Let's go.
Cool.
Yes, so much better. Yeah, so
right.
I didn't get it at first, but like that's the solution. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it would give you a lot of other options too, with potential like mixing and matching of different styles, which I don't know if CRG will go through all of that effort anytime soon. But it could be cool to be like, here is my size 3 power plant that's got like a civilian replicator and a military battery or whatever. You're getting your different values and
smart
stuff.
That's super smart. And you break the component down into 3 pieces, and just you could even just say left, right, center, fuck it, and it's Legos. Like, if you want to really simplify it, you just Lego it and it's good. And
and then Mike, each separate part has a different amount of health. So when your power plant gets shot at, maybe you don't lose the whole power plant.
thing. Yeah. There you go. Because the idea of these things being not like the others, and you got to go to a like I get their idea of you got to go to a dry dock to remove these, and like they only went that way because they had to, not because they wanted to. The system of taking the components out and repairing them, or like they're clearly happy with it. So why wouldn't they want that on their size 3 ships, which lots of people want to fly? It's just way more work to fix the ships than it is to do something like this. So maybe this broken up idea could work for a 1.0. I think we'll be stuck with it the way it is for now, but I think Treasend's very much onto something there. That's for sure. Big time. So good one, Treasend, actually. Really, really good one. You want to go callers now?
Yeah, let's get to some calls. And if you come to a future episode of Answer the Call and you're here live, make sure you come into the voice channels, because me changing the name to Green Room Join Here has apparently worked. And we what is that, 11 callers?
Okay. Well, given that there's 11 callers, I have nowhere to be for the first time in forever. The dog is starting to be less trying to kill us, because we got a trainer who helped us, and so that's very good. And I have cuts all over me from yesterday, but we are making headway, and she's just sleeping. I would like to try to get as many callers as we can within the next hour. But that means you guys got
you're like 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So make it count. All right. So make sure I'm gonna give it a little time so they can hear it before we get in there. Make it count. So if there's something you really, really want to talk about, don't talk about the other bullshit that you don't want to talk about. And if it's not about the server meshing test or engineering, I'm kicking you out. Just ahead of time. All right? I'm kicking your ass right out, and we're going to the next caller. Sound good?
Let's go.
All right, Sikmikaniko. Hello.
So Sikmikaniko, what do you think about server meshing?
Server meshing, I think it's cool.
Yep.
What do you want to talk about
Cool,
today?
thank you. Thanks for the call. We'll head on to the next caller.
Oh, good morning, first of all. Anyways,
good morning.
I think I did the test, the 500 player test, the latest one. It was working better than live for me, so I was very happy with that.
I had heard that from a lot of people as well. It was like,
it
like,
was very
performance
smooth.
was so good that I would honestly prefer to play right now in PTU.
Yeah, there's a whole thing that even Benoit said about how it didn't have the physics and everything. But anyways, that's I think it's on the right direction. I do agree that we should be aiming for a higher number of players, right? I do agree that we should be looking for like 500, 1,000. That's cool.
As high
that's
as
a beautiful
possible,
dream,
of course,
right there, right? I still think that's a beautiful dream. But I honestly am of the opinion that we should shoot for 200 players first, make it work out the kinks, and then slowly go up.
Do you not think that that's exactly what they're doing with like the 350 and 500 player tests, though? Because it seems to be that that's the case. Is that's like their safe?
But we had no missions available, right? We had nothing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But
right?
the reason for going to 500 and having no missions is not because they don't have missions turned off so performance works. They have missions turned off because they didn't do the mission work yet, or it's not done yet.
And you honestly think that when they turn on the missions, we're not going to have any problems at all?
Of course, I think there's going to be problems. It's Elliot. Of course, there's going to be problems. But the idea of I just don't think that they're. I don't think the missions being on are 100 million% a requirement for them to gather data and try to improve on what they can improve on in the meantime. Right?
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying like to spend like 5 months at 200 and then go another 6 months with 300. I'm saying just
Sure.
it's slowly progress into a point where okay, this is no longer playable or enjoyable, and then they kind of dial down and fix from there. So find like a good spot and then kind of like hang out there for a little bit. Kind of what we did with the 200 player servers when the Orison Siege of Orison came out. Like
Mhm.
they went for 200 and that shit wasn't playable. And then we're like, all right, this needs to change because nobody can do anything. So I think it's working it out itself. So I'm happy to see some progress, but I reserve my opinions until I see it actually working. So I think it's going.
That's fair. But you're saying you would be comfortable with like a live release of 200 for a small amount of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I would. I would.
How
I
long
won't see
is a
no
small
problem
amount
with
of
it.
time?
I
Yeah,
think
when would you be mad?
as we see PTU, for example, like how
Hmm.
PTU takes like around 3 weeks to 4 weeks
Hmm.
to go into live release. I think that kind of cycle, I think it would be okay. Maybe a month at
Okay.
200 and then a month at 300, and then we just keep building from there. So
So
I'm not a game dev or work there, so I don't know how they
yeah.
work, but
Sure,
I
sure.
think that
Well,
would be
and
more
I think
realistic.
yeah, and I think that's exactly where you're coming from. Is you're not a game dev, and well, neither am I. We're players, right? So we want the game to be playable and fun the entire time that we're playing it. I've just kind of changed my tune on that and said, just fuck it. Just send it full send, go as hard as you can, and show all the completely glaring, insanely bad problems that comes
Mhm.
when you hit the higher numbers, like what Morph experienced in his playtest. Like dealing with a party was ridiculous, and the
Yeah.
fact that like when you got back to the main menu, there was still a max of 100 party. They couldn't. There was no place for them to type in comms to each other. Well, he could have done it in Arena Commander, by the way, but he just didn't realize that. And like he could have done it in Arena Commander menu and then sent people into the main game. But the options there are very limited, and there's a lot of systems in the game that just don't make sense for over 100 players right now. So I
Mhm.
like even think about, I think somebody said scarcity in the Twitch chat. Think about just general missions, general materials, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like everything has to change.
Mhm.
Everything. So just for me, it's full send it and just find all the glaring problems and fix them as quickly as possible. Because if you gradually go up, you only find the problems that come when you hit your actual number right
Mhm.
before you're trying to go live with your actual number. And then you spend
Yep.
all this time having to fix it again.
Yep. Sick, we have reached 5 minutes, so we'll give you
Give
one
him a couple
last.
minutes because we talked a
yeah,
lot
sure.
over him. But yes.
We?
One last thing, yeah.
Excuse
One
me.
last thing
Me.
that you guys mentioned about engineering. I always like to have some constructive criticism about things.
Yep.
I really like the engineer. I just think that the model of the game doesn't support engineering. So I think the
Interesting.
biggest issue that we have right now is everybody makes money to buy ships, and
Mhm.
everybody wants to fly their own ships. Nobody wants to be a crew member. So
Wrong.
I
You picked the
at
wrong
least
two people to talk to.
90%. So listen, this is 90% of my experience, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, of
this is
course.
my experience.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is I'm talking about me. I think everybody plays the game to buy their own ship and fly the ships that they like.
Yeah.
I think that can change with engineering. I agree. I just think that there's some other changes that need to come with. I'm gonna wait to see how the finished product when it releases
Yeah.
to have a better opinion about the subject. I just do need to say one thing. Only one thing. If that engineer panel comes around with no seat attached to it, I'm gonna
Yep.
be fucking pissed. That's all.
100%.
That's all.
Well, once again,
That's all.
doesn't have to be a seat. Just has to be me not getting thrown around the ship
Yeah.
trying to look at this
Yes.
thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
or wiggling or
It
any of
makes
this dumb shit that was
Yeah.
going on
it
before.
makes no sense on that C2 have two guys sitting down and a dude just standing in the back there and the ship is pulling like 95 Gs turning and the guy's just standing there like pressing some buttons. That looks ridiculous to me.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, besides that, I'm excited to see it. I hope that people take the same amount of time to review the process and go through the process and enjoy it or not, and then give some feedback because this spectrum, man, is just it's a minefield right now. We can't really do anything on spectrum.
When,
So
when is Spectrum not a minefield? I can't
Yeah.
even look at that thing.
I don't even
yeah,
think it
so
could be
that's the only
trusted.
thing.
Yeah.
that's the only thing. I just really like to have a seat for engineering, like not
Yep.
a standing position for
Yep.
it. That's all.
All right. Well, sick.
Awesome.
We're gonna let you go. Croncy, can you do me a favor and move the colors in and out while I'm working on the titles for everybody?
Sure can.
Great
Sure
call,
can. So
Sick.
thank you, Sick.
Thank you.
We'll catch you later.
Just have a good
man.
one, gents.
Bye now.
Alrighty.
And
I'm trying to. I have no idea who went into the green room first. All right, we're gonna put this person in waiting room 5. All right, here we go. Next up, we've got Pakila. Pakila, how we doing?
I got robbed. All I want to talk about is the Lego piece on the fucking big ship modules, and that got stolen my topic.
they stole his topic, but that's we could keep talking. I could talk about that forever. How would you do it?
So I really don't. I really hoping that the module they have on the big ship right now is placeholder. Because if you look closely, they're literally just small module scale up. There's barely any geometry changes on them. So what I was hoping is that the functionality of the module is a combination of different block. Because chat. How many people here played Minecraft Industrial mod pack?
Oh my god,
How
this
many?
kid, all he has tried to get me to
How
do is play
many?
Minecraft for
How
years.
many?
I played
Come
it
on,
one
type
time
one.
with them and it was awful. It
Hey,
performed
Look,
so bad.
Minecraft's the best-selling game of all time, Mike. So
I know, but he
clearly
put
there's something wrong with it.
30,000 mods in it and
type
it
one,
performed.
type one. Oh, okay. Here comes my people. Okay, so in the industrial mod pack, you have a little block that can do basic functionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want a fancy shit, you assemble a machinery block by block. And each block have a different attribute. Like if you want a generator, right? A gas generator, you will need to add a fuel cell. You need to add a combustor chamber. Then you need to add some power converter. And the combination of these different stuff make up the machinery. And it gives
Sure, so you're describing crafting.
not exactly. Because they are attachment in the physics world. Like you place this thing, it's like Lego pieces. You place it on a ship, and this thing has different knot that you can attach stuff onto it. So it's not like crafting, because attachment can keep growing.
So with that, so now are you describing more games like Satisfactory and Factorio where you do that?
I don't think we need to go that kind of complexity.
Mhm.
It's just simple attachment system, right? And it gives even more fun when you have a constrained base, because then you have to think about, okay, do I want to attach this module where it gives a turbocharger stuff, or do I want to attach a heat reclamation module or fire suppression module? There's different module you can load stuff on this pitch and call it a day. And if you
I would
remove
stop it there because I don't think that idea falls in line with. It kind of does with subcomponents that
Yeah, I was
going
going
to
say it's basically the mining subcomponents, right?
Yeah, well, not even mining. There was always subcomponents that were like inside of like power plants and stuff. There was like
Sure.
images of it. I don't know if they're still going to do that stuff though, because the more you look at like, all right, I guess I guess this is a decent point. One thing that I expected us to hear on this engineering ISC that we didn't was they were talking about how they're going to make like engineering components be better at some things than like military, and they just never said what those differences were going to be. So if those differences are somewhat similar and can fall in line with Pakila's saying, I would be in line to agree with it. But if I was to buy a industrial drive at the shop, personally, I would just hope it would be 3 to 4 pieces. I put it together inside the ship and I'm done. I don't know if I want all the mix and matching, as complex and fun as that might be for people. Sometimes simpler is better.
Yeah. I mean, 4 pieces of Lego is simple enough. If you cannot put that together, then why the fuck are you playing a game where you have to take 5 elevators to reach your ship? Huh?
It's true. Or you have to, spend months and months and months to be a subpar combat pilot like myself or something, right?
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
to be honest, that's just an excuse so I can find more shit in the loot table. Because right now the loot table sucks ass. I don't even want to boot up the game.
yeah,
anymore.
it would be cool to find like subcomponents on a loot table, and I would be cool if the base of the component was Legos, and then internally you can make a few very minor tweaks to like, all right, I can, I get more damage reduction from ballistic weapons on this or some stupid shit like that. But
And I think
that'd be cool.
the sub component is really close. I just don't know why the implementation is a fucking handheld stuff that you plug in and out. What the hell is that?
what do you
can
mean?
Just make
I think, are you talking about the fuses?
no. So if you remember, when you are still young, when you are not approaching 40, there was a ISC where they show that you have a different component and there's a different stuff inside a component.
How long
you
ago
can
was this?
put in and out.
Like 10
I
years
don't
ago.
know.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
whatever.
It was when I was
Like-
approaching 30, not 40.
I see. I thought he was calling me 40. I turned 30 in like
No,
4 days.
he's
calm
making fun
down,
of-
Pakila.
He's making fun of me. He's making fun of me. He's cooking. But yeah, they were very small components that were handheld. And yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying about like I love the idea that we put the pieces together so we are able to physically remove and repair and change components inside of large ships and store extras and all that. But then I also like the idea that Pakila is going with like, okay, well, I can use subcomponents that are handheld or you don't like that they're handheld, Pakila. You want them to be bigger blocks. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, I
Gotcha.
may be nitpicking here. It's just
Probably a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's been
Yeah.
12 years. Let's nitpick. So,
yeah.
but all right, we'll let you go
Well-
because of time. And it sounds like we touched on your topic, but it was good to see you. And yeah, the last time I played Minecraft and the only time I played Minecraft, somebody created a nuclear bomb with this system that he's talking about and blew up our
Yep.
city. So yeah,
I think it was sharp.
it was sharp. Yes, of course it was. Who else would it be? So all right, Pakila,
All right, I will
we'll let
kick
you
myself
go,
Pakila.
out. Goodbye.
and we'll
Gotcha.
bring in the next caller, who's Mr. Expendable.
Mr. Expendable, how are we doing today?
Still muted. Wonderful.
All right. As long as it's not
I
I
permanently
didn't
muted,
even
you're good.
realize it was still muted because it was locked in the waiting rooms. So that was a little. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why can't I speak?
Yeah, maybe we should change that so they can check their mics while in the waiting room. But
Good
we'll-
point.
We'll
yeah,
address
fix
that.
afterwards.
All right. Well, that's you guys. So jumping straight into it. Engineering.
Mhm.
I know that you guys don't like it, but I really like watching bullets pass through ships. I haven't
I don't
seen
hate
a
it.
ton of the.
I don't hate it.
I'm fine with it.
But I will agree with one thing. I agree
Mhm.
with you guys. I think it should be visual. If you get hit by a bullet and like the guys are just trying to spray and try to hit you in the ship, I think
Yeah.
that would suck.
It's cringe. That
Like,
shouldn't kill
But
me.
visually, yeah, but like visually, like you're running through the ship and you got bullets whizzing past you as they
Yeah.
go from one to the ship, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we've
but-
all
It added a lot to
probably
the
watched The
cinematics of it.
Expanse, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I've seen the scenes though. I've seen the battle scenes, so I know exactly what it looks like. But really, what I wanted to ask was that I don't really know if this new engineering thing is going to change combat. I haven't done a ton of combat, but what I've found is that ships, when they're fighting other ships, will kill the other ships till they're dead. Right? They'll just shoot until the other person has hard death. Right?
and that's
'Cause
what
I saw-
Croncy was
or
pointing
maybe-
out, right? That you were like,
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, like, once you get to that point where you are like you need to sit down and fix everything, like you're essentially dead in the water, the game doesn't change, I don't think. I think you will
Mhm.
just be killed. But I do think it changes like the regular multi-crew v multi-crew ship combat because, well, once you're going to be repairing a lot more often, obviously, inside the ship
Yeah.
actively as you're fighting, which is also going to mean, like, if you got someone on a turret gun, maybe there's enough pressure put on you from the other multi-crew ship that they get off the turret gun to come help repair. Cool. So now the dynamics of the fight have changed because there's less damage output coming out. All that
So
stuff will
you're-
change. So
Yeah. You're functionally talking about the middle of the fight, beginning, middle, but the end is not really going to change that much.
Yeah,
The
I
sort
don't
of-
think the end will change. Yeah.
Yeah, the death throws will be the same, because that's a little
Yeah.
disappointing to hear, because I really wanted it to be like, oh, this guy's dead in the water, we can move on. Because and the only thing I can think of is if you want to board them, like if you want to board them and take their stuff,
Which is
the
kind of
only
what
thing
Mike was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the option. You move on, and your fight is over, and you don't even have to move on. You could do a little scraping and repair yourself then, or whatever, right? But
imagine scraping an enemy ship with the guy still inside. Like, yeah, we can hear you in there, but you better stay in there, or we're gonna shoot you.
Exactly. We got the power plant targeted. Don't do anything. So yeah, I guess you can, but that's also not fun either. Is to have somebody just stuck there trapped. But well,
I was thinking the only thing that could be interesting is like not multi-crew, but like large group multi-crew with multiple ships, where they can say, oh, ship A is dead in the water, we need to go ahead and cover them so they can get the hell out of here. We're down one ship, we're done for this battle, we're now on the defensive, we're gonna just try to leave.
Yeah, that'll be very different.
That's one good interesting way to keep ships in the fight rather than just jumping out immediately because they got a friend that they need to get out before they can leave.
Not just that, but also the risk, like once again, when you are in those multiple multi-crew fights, the risk of a ship that you've already eliminated repairing and coming back for you in the middle of the fight could there's a lot of play with that.
Yeah. We have repair ships, by the way, right?
Yeah, especially if they back up a little bit. Like, okay, this ship starts the game as your tank because it's got all this armor, like an Idris, for example. And the Idris goes in, and it's your front man, and it gets fucked up. It backs off, and then it becomes the sniper because it's got the railgun or the laser, and is also the flight thing because it has no more armor left, and you don't want it sitting out there. And you're gonna hang it back, and then you might have like a hammerhead or something. Who knows? But yeah, I think it could be very interesting. It's just a big thing of like, I really wish that they made some way that said, hey, the ship is dead in the water, maybe don't try to murder it. I don't know.
It could be like a bigger crime.
Yeah. That's one thing I've been thinking about.
Like disabling of a ship could be like a CS2 versus,
100%.
Yeah.
Which is how it is now. Soft deathing is a lower crime than it is blowing up a ship, right? So.
Yep.
Just needs to make the crimes actually matter.
Yeah. With all of that as well, with all of that being said, there is still way more things they have to do with the weapons in general to make this gameplay feasible. But we're not going to know what those changes necessarily will be until we see, armor in action and how survivable these ships become.
Yeah, it's all just ideas on paper to us at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to see what kind of armor the big boy ships have, the actual combat ships. Like, are they just decked out in armor? Like, that armor health bar isn't exactly a health bar, it's a health line. It's just like, it takes forever to strip it down. I'd love to see something like that, because that really means, like, you got to go get your Ares, and you got to get your Ion, and really, really start hitting them hard.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, all right, Mr. Expendable, that's about 5 minutes.
I was gonna say there's not much more. I have other topics, but I really want to let other guys get in, so that's gonna be it. I'm looking forward to CitizenCon. I'm actually going, so
hell yeah, see you there.
Yeah, I didn't know which one of you. I know Salty, you're probably not going, but if Croncy, you're there, I'm gonna shake your hand, so try to remember my face.
What isn't your face an Oompa Loompa or something in the?
Oh, it's from an old picture from a book about the Korean War. So
remember that face. Got it.
Yeah,
that's what I'll be seeing.
Glasses and the helmet with the colonel's badge on it. Don't worry about it. They'll let me into this. They'll let me in with it. Don't worry about it.
Love it.
But yeah, all right.
Awesome.
All right,
I'll see you guys around.
Have a good one.
Who's next? Sharxbyte.
Sharxbyte, how you doing?
Hey, let's see if we got this the right time the first time now.
Seems like you do. We can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
Might want to put headphones on, though. Or go push to talk.
It is push to talk.
All right.
Well, good.
So
Yeah.
the server meshing test, it felt like it may have been on an older build because a lot of the older bugs were back in, like when you
Okay.
enter your item bank or whatever, you're from behind it. But other than that, I felt like it was really good. I got in a little bit later than everyone, so when I was actually running good.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, what was
and
running
then-
good for you?
So it was pretty responsive. I mean, the missions weren't running or anything, but like I was able to access the stuff that I wanted to access. If I wanted to go like dogfight or whatever, I didn't do a whole lot of actual game playing. It was more like interacting with the stuff around me and making sure that like the interaction delay wasn't too long. It felt about like it does on live now.
Yeah, and then it's just the only other thing would be like desync with other players, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I
Which
did
once again,
see
I
some people
mentioned, I mentioned last week, the desync also may be caused to the fact that it's essentially a worldwide server. So, 70% of the people that you're interacting with are not remotely local to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as the engineering stuff, it feels like one of the next things that they need to focus on is some sort of delivery option because, like Mike was saying, he wants to be able to have his coffee cup in his ship. I want to have a table in the back of my C1 and guns on the rack and whatever. And then, like, I was playing a couple weeks ago in live, had my C1 set up, and then went and played PTU for a week, forgot that I had my C1 set up and claimed it and lost all that stuff.
I mean, that sounds like a you mistake, but
no, I mean, it was definitely a me mistake. I'm just saying, being able to say deliver my ship from Crusader to Hurston or whatever, instead of claiming it and losing the items on it. Like, I don't care if there's a 20-minute timer.
So I will give some insight into that. There was an Evo build or a PTU build a very long time ago that existed. And I think what people did was they loaded their ship with cargo and they delivered it to the location that they were at and instantly were able to safely cargo haul. So I agree there should be a delivery system, but there's got to be some rules applied to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
feels very exploitable.
even if it means like an NPC or another player has to take that mission and fly it to you so that there's the chance of it getting intercepted or whatever. And I see that there's totally possibility for abuse and stuff there too, but it has to be some way that we can get our ships from point A to point B with some of the stuff inside, even if not cargo, but like just the cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say I do agree, but I will say I don't think it should be a priority, especially because I don't think it impacts us enough yet for it to be a major issue. However, we are only in 1-star system today. We will only be in 2-star systems soon, TM. Once we do get to the point where, oh no, my ship is 10-star systems away, yeah, like I'm not going through the effort of going to go get that and bring it over, right? So I think what you are saying should 100% exist. I just don't think it should exist soon.
I think it should exist as a player contract.
That too. Yeah.
And then as far as the engineering stuff, I've been saying this because one of your last callers was saying, "Oh, no one's gonna want to be a crew member or whatever." I've actually been like writing up based on all the information we have so far, trying to make some curriculum to like train people to start out as beginner engineers, where you are maintaining stuff inside of the hangar for your org, and maybe you're a gunner for a little bit, and then you go maintain the stuff if the basic stuff needs fixed, and you work your way up.
Yeah.
RP.
Like not just RP. This is actually like this is a very common guild level style thing, right? Like if you're part of a big WoW raiding guild, you're not getting in team 1 right off the bat. You're not getting in the primo. They've gone through every mythic plus that's ever existed in 5 seconds. You need to work your way up there. It's a very common thing. So, yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah,
and it'll also teach people like, hey, if you're a gunner in someone's hammerhead, now you know where in the hammerhead you're going to be targeting. If you're maintaining the stuff on someone's gladius, you know where to shoot the gladius to disable it, where the armor is, all that stuff. And then as far as seats. I think we need mag boots back for engineers. Part of your engineer kit is mag boots, so you can't get thrown around.
My thing, would anyone actually be mad if they just made it that you didn't move on there and they didn't have to bring in a lore explanation? Because I don't think you
just
need to.
simplify shit, man.
Exactly.
I don't know. I love G-forces, and if the people who are boarding your ship aren't prepared, and you throw your new power supply back in, you can throw them around.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just, it feels like a lot of work for something that just needs to be. I need to be able to use the engineering terminal and it not be the worst experience of my life.
Yeah.
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 And then if I can have like 20 seconds for a non-engineering thing.
Go.
Okay, so I made a Spectrum thread, and I thought it was really funny because Mike says this all the time, and I agree with it. CIG does have a communication problem. I made a thread pointing it out and saying, hey, what if we had like a focus group where people can volunteer to like read a thing under NDA? You read whatever the news announcement for the week is, or the Spectrum post they haven't put out yet, and say, hey, did you think about this? And people are like, CIG doesn't have a communication problem, and it was great. It's still up there if you guys want to go yell at
Oh,
me.
I was going to say, I'm surprised it's not down.
No, it's actually still up. It's under concerns. I have like 80 upvotes and stuff.
Nice.
I don't like the idea of doing focus groups for like patch notes.
So it's not a focus group in that like it wouldn't be you and me and everyone in the group talking about it. It would be a giant pool of players who have like been at least somewhat active. You volunteer, they make sure that you're not like some sort of a troll, and then you get a survey in the email if you get drafted out of one of the different
it's called
groups that you're part of.
Evocati. All right. Like that's literally
Oh,
what
sure.
it is.
I mean, you could take Evocati and give it to them. The point is that they aren't doing this. They're not releasing something and saying, hey, here's what we're about to release.
You're getting kicked. You're going to be the first one getting kicked today. I didn't understand.
Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Bye. I didn't
See you,
understand that he
Sharxbyte.
said not engineering.
He said not engineering. I assumed he was just going to go back to server meshing.
No. I didn't know he was going somewhere else. So I just let it go for a second. I was like, all right, we're done.
All good.
I don't
The
think
next member of our
guy's gonna do
focus
that,
group
because he's
is
a clever bard.
Clever Bard, how you doing? Clever Bard. Clever Bard, the mute button is right underneath there, or right next to the video
There, he's
connector.
got it.
Whoop. There we go.
Right.
He's clever.
Mr. Salt, Mr. Croncy. Yeah, I figured it out. The
Yeah.
other guy had to do it. Yeah. I've been listening for a long time listener, big time fan. You guys are a huge inspiration. Just want to say that.
Hey, well, appreciate that. Thanks so much.
I have been watching Star Citizen from the beginning. I think about
Oh, I'm sorry.
an Archimedes. It was one of my first ships.
Oh, wow.
Fourth
Okay.
time. But anyway, it's been on my radar for so long because I'm a commercial fisherman from Alaska. So the idea of engineering is hitting me right in the feels, literally. So we have smaller vessels, we have larger vessels, and when you're talking about size 3 components, I can't help but think about the and it's always a problem between the fishermen and the people who design the boats, and it's awful because you have to spend $50,000 to rip the engine out,
Yeah.
Yep.
take up the deck, take the house off, put it back. This is not I just want to say it's not just a CIG problem.
Okay. That's fair.
In industrial engineering, it is classic that the artists come first, right?
Yeah.
I designed the hull. Oh, it's the weight distribution. It's going to move the water this way. And then when you got to replace the engine 10 years later, it's awful.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not real life.
And they can change it easily. Well, not
Yes.
necessarily easily, but easier, I assume,
Easier.
than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now, like in pre 1.0, I think it makes sense enough. The explanations are coming up with, but I think if we push hard enough, we could get that 2-3, part engine idea pushed through. I really like that solution. That
Bro, I think they could do the 2 or 3 part engine idea in like 4.1.
What was interesting in the change from the they did all that changes to the shield, the components for all the ships recently, and the Caterpillar went from 2 size 3s to 6 size 2s. And I was like, oh, just going to shove these different size slots into the different size. So they could easily take a size 3 power plant and make it size 2s or whatever, and just shove them in next to each other in the same slot. I mean,
Yeah, the problem with
that'd be
that
the-
is that 2 size 2s does not equal 1 size 3 in
Yeah,
terms
like
But
it would
in the
require extra
programming-
balancing because
Yeah.
of that.
In-
Yeah.
in the programming, they could put it that slot being filled equals the size 3 output, because you're putting, I don't know, 2 size 2s in there. It just becomes a size 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get what
mean,
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, we get what you're saying. It's just we don't the thing that we don't know about these changes that they're making is what is a size 3 now, what is a size 2, and how much what do they produce, right? What resource network do they produce, or what on the resource
but
network?
I guess to round it off, I am this is one of my big enjoyer moments of Star Citizen, is to be a crew member on an ironclad, like running
me too.
around, putting out fires.
Mike's got a job for you.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a crew member. Like, I never want to fly my ship ever.
Right.
I want to be crewing, moving boxes, and
You're
engineering.
gonna be that tech CEO who's just one of the guys in the pens, like, yeah, this is my ship. I'm not flying it.
Yeah. No, I hire a pilot, but I'll run it, but I'm not flying it.
Yeah, we might have the opposite of issue of what someone said earlier, one of our other callers. Maybe we don't have enough pilots for us to actually get the engineering gameplay going.
No, it's the other. Well, there's more ships than players, right?
I don't know if I would
by
trust
far.
many people to fly a brick that size.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take some skill. Yeah, I'm super excited for the engineering. The physicalized nature of cargo has been exciting. And what was it, Benoit? It was somebody else in the more recent Q&A that said introducing one component at a time is difficult for players because we don't see the larger picture.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the development can escape that, because I mean, even though they did the big suite of activities for cargo, we're still just getting a piece. And now we're getting engineering, which is a piece. And the dogfighters have been complaining for a while about master modes, but I think that's going to iterate, and it's going to
and they're
change
getting
over
master
time.
modes in pieces.
Yeah, and so I think it was A1 that had he was talking about geometry, and he was talking about distance, speed, and everything like that. And he made some really great points. But I think, like you said, with the heavy armors not being able to be impacted, and fuel being an issue, and I think it's all going to come together. I'm starting to see it now with engineering coming into play.
Yep. Yeah. It's
And
just like
all the work.
If a Buccaneer just can't kill a hammerhead by itself, then that solves a lot of the problems that he was having problems with when it comes to multi-crew ships, if I understand his arguments correctly.
Yeah, and I think his thing was the meta was just going to shift somewhere else. But to that, I would say there's always going to be a meta, but there should be 3 or 4 metas like in Overwatch, right? So it's team composition, where this team comp has this counter, and then you switch it up this way, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be so much fun. And the one problem I have with multi-crew right now is that it doesn't shoot, the turrets don't shoot a long enough distance. That's the only problem.
Or have enough not rate of fire, but bullet velocity.
Oh yeah.
And I just to go on the comp idea, if Master Modes was successful at anything, it showed that could be a thing. I don't think it's doing it successfully now, but you could feel it being possible, especially when
Right, and I don't want to get away from engineering.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on that.
Well, no, it is a part of it, because what you have on that ship and armor and the engineering side of that plays that role.
Yeah,
it's huge, and I don't think the arena commander bros. I don't want to call them bro. I don't want, it's not derogatory. The arcade nature. Yeah. Well, it's arcadey, right? So it's like zombies. You know, COD zombies. Basically, you're picking up skulls and ammos and stuff, and I think. What was I going to say? Master modes does have the space flight does have a bit of a ceiling, and I think they can tweak that. They definitely have the wherewithal to do that, and I'm super excited for it. I hope they have a little bit of engineering in Squadron 42 as well. That would be nice.
Surely there'll be. It'd be weird if there wasn't. Just with you are a crew member of an Idris, right? Is like one of the big things. So I imagine there'll be some of it there.
Yeah, I can't
We'll
wait
see.
to overcharge power and just send it all to my turrets, and then we just do crazy. It's going to be so much fun. Anyway, thanks guys for doing what you do. I had to wake up super early to join this, but
West Coast.
yeah,
Yep.
but it was a good sacrifice. Thank you for all that you do, and Mike, keep on being salty. Croncy, keep on croncing.
I'm a verb now.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't let the other callers get into it, but just wanted to say thanks for the good content and the.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here and hanging out and
Yeah.
enjoying it. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Cheers, Clever Bud. We'll see you
Yeah,
around.
Cheers.
All right.
Next up, Warbotnix. Warbotnix, how you doing?
Why can I?
There we go.
Oh.
Hello.
Why can't I? Yo,
Well,
you can, but you can.
I have been unleashed, and I'm going to break the rule for 2 seconds. Congratulations on your
Yep.
puppy.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, that's allowed.
It's to Mike's benefit. Yeah, but congrats, and I love my puppy when I got it. And now where are the pets? Anyway, moving on. One is engineering and armor and everything.
Mhm.
Just like the previous guy, really hit me in the feels. I am happy that it's all coming.
Mm-hmm.
For one, is that this is what I've been waiting for as an element for balancing, for not just combat, for multi-crew as well.
Yeah.
Because now we actually have a much more like dynamic defensive capability or thing to watch out for that the devs can work with to say, hey, size 1, size 2s, you're going to have some trouble penetrating. And then my mind's flipped to Mech Warrior, where like, okay, because the one thing I did not like when they showed the freelancer armor component, I was like, is that for the entire thing, or is it just one part of the freelancer?
I will say, at least in regards to that, I'm sure right now it's probably just the health of the freelancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
simplistic. It has this much health. It cannot be repaired without maybe going. It's not like gradually coming back. I don't think we have any like nanites that, like nanobots that do it or whatever or anything like that for now. So it'll just be a number.
No, I think it's fine the way it is for now. It's a tier 0.5. It's not exactly tier 0 anymore. But the one thing I do hope is that they do expand that and then work that into Maelstrom later, because one next is okay. Well, because right now we do have pre-breakable parts on a lot of our ships. So I do hope they like, hey, left wing, right wing, armor, stat, and now we can really see like dare I say it, a game coming together.
But to speak on that, this ISE was the first time I was able to say to my wife, hey, guess what? They finally added in your part of this game. So you get to finally come and be an engineer that you're going to absolutely love. So
nice,
you're not wrong. Her favorite thing to do every time we play Sea of Thieves is just repair the ship over and over and over again.
Me too. Nice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And I actually have 2 people like that too. So I mean, there are, as a couple of people alluded to, like some people who are like, no, they ruined solo play. I mean, like, well, yeah.
Good.
That was the goal, because funny enough, I do have a friend who loves Star Trek but is afraid of heights and screams whenever he goes into Star Citizen when looking outside. I'm like, you're an engineer. You go downstairs.
Yeah, just look at the screen.
You can go into the room with no windows.
Yeah, just look at the screen and yell at people to repair stuff.
Yep, I mean that's pretty much what he's waiting for, because that's what he's most comfortable with. So yeah, in terms of not able to fit through the the size 3 components through the doors and stuff. Yes, art did take precedent. But the guy, I forget who said it, to break it into a couple parts to move it through.
Oh god, it was like
It
50
was our- it
callers
was our-
ago.
It was our question for the
Yeah.
show, technically.
Oh yeah,
It
that's
was,
right.
Treasend.
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 Yeah, that actually is a good idea. Because
I think
that's
it's
actually
great.
a good like interim idea. One is that it actually adds that illusion of subcomponents to larger components. And two, and I'm actually it actually does fix a lot of other issues as well. So like, hey, I have a part from another size 3 that I found off another ship that's not completely destroyed, and we just slap it on.
Yep.
Yep.
So
It
yeah.
just works,
Okay.
dude. It just works.
Yeah, it
just
sounds like a
makes
really
so much
elegant
sense.
solution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does give that sense of redundancy. And speaking of like redundancy, like I know I've been like waiting for Connie rework and 600i rework. Now I'm happy that they did not rework them, because now they have the opportunity to start thinking about the size 3 components moving through the doors.
You do not
Yeah.
want CIG to work on your ship now.
Yes.
Your favorite ship, you don't want them working on it. You don't even want it in the game. You want them to figure things out and then work on your shit. Then you're good.
Yep.
Can we push the Polaris back another year then?
Yeah. You're probably going to not like some parts of it, you know?
Pretty
But it'll
much.
be better than if it was reworked 3 years ago.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and then the last thing is that there is actually, and this will be my last thing, is that there is actually there was some forward thinking in somewhere in the art department, because there is actually a level of redundancy when it comes to some of these ships with crewmates. So you know how like some ships, the pilot controls the turret guns as well as your own pilot guns, but when you have a second person in, the second person can take care of that. That means, so I think the Super Hornet is a great example. So one person, the back gunner, can get out and go repair the ship while the pilot is on standby, ready to go. And I think the Redeemer also has that too, with the chin turret.
I will say I don't like your example for one reason, which is that that insinuates that the pilot is going to leave me floating in space to go and fight whoever just rocked up. But I do still agree with you. Like the Redeemer, sorry. I believe that's a thing, is you can have access to one of the turrets. But yeah, instead they could be running around inside and fixing things up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you wouldn't lose too much capabilities, you know, in combat or in a tough situation. So I'd say like once they start doing the gold standarding and reworking, start thinking about like, you know, adding some redundancy for, especially for the military ships, which that's what they're made for. Civilian ships, they don't have to think about it too much. So
yeah, and that might be some of the decisions that they're making on how many components and why and all that stuff, right? But we'll have to hear and learn more about that as it gets closer. But all right, Warbot, since we're coming up
bring in
to
crafting.
Yeah, for real. Now, since we're coming up to about 10 minutes left, I can give us 2 more callers and we'll let you go so we can get to them.
Yep. All right. Congrats again. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Alrighty. John B. Hawkins. John B. Hawkins, how you doing?
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Howdy.
Yeah, the engineering really excites me. I'm a Crucible Vulcan owner, Starfare. So
wow,
this has
none
got
of your
me all-
ships exist or work.
Yeah, I'm used to it being super since I might actually be thought of in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the guy who came up with the component idea, that was brilliant. I love that. I had
gonna pass
another
it along.
idea. Yeah. I mean, he literally just they need to give him a ship package or something, you know, just for that idea. I mean, he it was just great. I was going to bring up that would work great with the component feature that was which the last caller I think hit on. They already have that in the game, so they could just expand that to break the component all the way down, which is great. I really wonder where the repair ship's going to fit with this engineering game plan. The component repair, are they going to repair through the hull, or are they going to have any special ability?
No idea. That's a ship that like I just said earlier, you don't want them to do anything with it right now. You want them to kind of figure out how all this stuff's going to work, because the Crucible, what's the biggest ship it can fit? Like a Hornet?
Yeah, Hornet.
Okay. Like, what are they going to make a Crucible XL that is like its own dry dock of some, like, how are we repairing bigger ships, or are we only going to go to space stations, or what? The Crucible has, I think, not AI, drones, I think, right? Maybe, or I don't know. Some ships have drones, so they're gonna have to rethink some of this stuff as now that the game is like becoming more and more functional as it goes on, right?
Yeah, well, the Crucible has drones. It's not talked about a lot, but if you look at one of the old ship episodes, whatever, I forgot what they called them, but it actually had a little like Pez dispenser up top for the barred drones.
Yeah.
And then of course, the Vulcan, the main feature are drones. And my point before, Treasend, I always thought they could use a small drone to go inside the ship. If you go in the hangars, there's actually small drones that set offside of the hangars, the old hangars. I don't know if it's in the new hangar or not, but they were like door size, looked like you could just fly them right through a door. And I always thought they would be an option for repairing, larger components that you couldn't pull out of your ship.
Yeah, I mean, we can repair the larger components, but the idea of replacing on the fly is the only thing that's really being taken away here, right? Because you can repair what you have, but the only way to swap them is to go to a station. Is not the end of it's funny is that we're pretty focused on it, but if you really think about it, it's not really the end of the world.
Yeah, like it could be fine. It's just we would like that extra, complexity in that.
Yeah, if you were to give feedback to them, we would say, I like the idea of what's the ones and twos do, and I would love for you to bring it to the threes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my goal in game is to be like the kind of junkyard on the out in the middle of nowhere, and I might acquire parts and all. So I was really looking forward to this this gameplay altogether.
Yeah.
But the I'm trying to think where I was going to go here with this. The size 3, yeah, like I said, the taking apart will work great, and Croncy's idea, mix and matching would be awesome. Both of them, they work well. The jumping over to the armor and all, I really like the idea. Right now, just giving us a separate armor health pool, kind of as a holdover. I'm kind of mixed on the bullet thing. It would be a little cheesy if you get shot through your canopy and someone just one shots you right through the thing. But then again, it's it'd be kind of interesting gameplay if you could get killed.
It's not
like. Well, I look at I'm a Mech Warrior player, right? I used to play a lot of Mech Warrior, and if you were a really good shot, you would focus on the pilot, the cockpit, but you had to be an expert, shot, or just get really lucky to get those hits in.
Yeah, I'll go to like my oldest videos ever, and yep, there it is. You used to be able in Arena Commander. It's gonna look terrible, but you used to be able in Arena Commander to just kill the pilot, and that was a cockpit shot.
Yeah,
like the ship's instant dead, because you could just cockpit people all the time. So it's super cheesy, I think, and yeah, I don't know. Also, I miss old Arena Commander. It was just so much better. It was so much better.
It looks terrible. I'm really glad I never experienced it.
It visually looks bad because it's 720p blown up onto a 1440p screen and then put on. Sure. But the it visually, like the feel of it was much better. But all right, we're taking up too much of his time. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh no problem at all. The last part I would like to bring up is permissions. I think with the engineering gameplay, they really need to get permissions sorted out. If you have a one if you invite randos, you're on your hammerhead and you invite rando, you don't want to give a rando permission, at your engineering panels. which I think they need to kind of spread engineering panels out, maybe across the ship, have some stand-up ones that, of course, lock you into position when you access them, not drop you to the ground. But I think the main one should have a seat. But I'm a firm believer maybe they should have some scattered, around in the back of the ship. They're just stand-up terminals on the wall. But they really, with this gameplay coming in, they really need to work out the party and permission system a lot better than it currently is.
Agreed. Like, I want to have. I guess they could do a lot of stuff with the MFDs. Like, you just add another MFD that you swipe to, and all the people that are on your ship or in your party, you can just click buttons. Or how they do it with the gun. What were they calling them? The gun,
like the assignments or whatever.
Yeah,
or
the gun assignments. There was like 4 different assignments. You could just click people's names that they're allowed to touch this, and that. That would be cool.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be fine. Just some sort of, as long as we get sun, and that's what my concern is, especially early on. Is it's going to be it's right now you take a risk bringing a rando on your ship anyway, but it really increases chance of sabotage, which is a type of gameplay. But I still think we need a way to manage it just like you would in real life, giving user permissions. Well, I could talk all day on engineering. I'm gonna drop off and let y'all take the next guy. So you all have a great one.
And Odd Job,
cheers, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah, John, thank you so much. And Odd Job's coming up next, and he'll be our last one because we're coming up on that 2-hour mark.
Yeah. Cheers, John.
Catch up. Have a good day.
Bye.
All right, Odd Job, you're our last caller. What do you think of master modes? Don't actually answer
let's get toxic.
You there, Odd Job?
Uh-oh.
Have we lost Odd Job?
Going once.
No, I'm here. I'm here. We are here. Sorry, I was just thrown for a loop because Croncy was setting me up for a trap there. I don't want to talk about master modes in a live setting. Kidding? No, I actually have I have a list of things I wanted to talk about. Warbot mentioned being happy the Connie isn't being reworked yet. I'm happy that it's not being reworked because the longer that they take to get to that, the more time I have on stream to do the work for them. And that's been a major content thing for me is doing the Connie rework. So yeah, take as long as you want with that one, CIG. One of the questions that I had watching the engineering ISC was they mentioned that the presets will be saved locally, which I assume means that it'll be saved on your hard drive. And so I wonder if that means that, like in Forza Horizon 5, right, you can share tunes for different cars. And will we be able to share those presets between different players? Because that could be really cool from a tuning perspective.
I mean, you can send them the file.
That's what I was going to say, because we can do that with your character, right?
Yeah.
If this is also being saved locally, I imagine it would be pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you make a really sweet tune. It does super well. It's well optimized for the ship, and you share that to your buddy, and now you both have an optimized tune.
Yeah, just quickly on that, because we didn't mention the presets at all when we were talking about ISC. What an amazing immediate quality of life thing that they realized.
Yes.
So happy about that.
Yep.
Yes, because one of the big things that I was really worried about watching up through that point in the show was just having to click through every single thing. And then it's like, oh, well, you can do it as a single button. That's perfect.
Yeah.
For someone like me, I need it really simplified. And that is right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I can't believe we didn't mention that because that was one of the really cool features.
It was massive.
Yeah.
And then it's been mentioned several times, so I don't want to spend like a ton of time talking about it. But the size 3, I feel like they're really making a misstep because I feel like the larger your ship gets, the more diversity of options you should have for being able to do engineering. It feels like this is you're getting penalized for having the largest of ships. and that sounds the
Penalized by
reverse of what it should
fun?
be. Yeah, but I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like, the bigger ship you have, the more options you should have to be able to engage with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm understanding it because of the bullshit size 3 components.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like you step up from a mid-sized ship to a larger ship. All of a sudden, now you can't interact with your components, at least the way that they have it set up now.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, the only thing you're interacting with is it from repairing, and that's it. You just can't take them out. But those interactions are very hands-off for now anyway, right? But yeah, I see it.
The other thing that I was thinking of is, so my hope is with engineering is that explosions will be exceptionally rare. And the downside to this is that if explosions are exceptionally rare, we still have an economy of players where rather than take the 5-minute trip, they'll just backspace to speed it up, or they'll just log out and leave their ship where they were and just plan on coming back into the last place they landed. And so my concern is that that's going to result in a lot more clutter. Because if you go to like Ghost Hollow today, you'll find all kinds of derelict ships, and there's not currently a way to properly take care of those yet. And so this is another instance where I feel like CIG might be putting the cart before the horse a little bit.
Well, they did the laws, and I mean, obviously Ghost Hollow doesn't matter, but laws about salvaging and tractor beaming ships out of the way. I feel like they're doing it, but they're not doing it from the game engine standpoint, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, just because it's like, I mean, yeah, we have these mechanisms in place, but they are not to a level of efficacy where clutter is not an issue.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do too many Eve examples today, so I'll give one. Whenever you blow up a ship, it's got 2 hours, and then it's gone. So if nobody salvages it in 2 hours, it just disappears, and that's what CIG should be doing. But
yeah, and I mean, it's really simple. I mean, sure, it breaks the lore, but I mean,
shit.
Exactly.
It's a video game.
Player experience is more important. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a game. Game should come first. Realism is a nice bonus.
Yep. But what about the coffee cup? Come on. If you leave it there a month later, you'll come back and it'll be there. We talked about that for 5 years, and we still haven't done it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's why we needed the coffee gameplay in the first place.
Yeah, that was the game we were building, guys. The coffee cup was so important, and I think it is very nice to see that people are finally realizing how stupid those fucking ideas were for so long, and yeah, how problematic they are, and just make a good game, man. It's not that big of a deal.
And then if I'm allowed one tangent, and you guys can kick me out as soon as I finish explaining it, I'd be fine with that.
If the tangent's good enough, yeah.
Okay. On UI, they've been showing a lot of the new MFDs, and it looks like a lot of ships are also getting new radar setups. I feel like radar is one thing in particular where they keep trying to reinvent the wheel, and I don't feel like they need to. I posted up a picture in the Answer the Call Discord chat. Most games, you have very simple icons to indicate elevation. But in Star Citizen, we have this line that goes out from your ship and then down to the elevation of the other ship. And you're looking at this forced perspective on the radar. And I mean, at least I am not intelligent enough to figure out what that means fast enough for it to be helpful to me. I feel like they need to just keep it a flat image, make the icons the indicator for elevation, and just keep it real simple.
I always thought the flat 2D radars were the better ones than the 3D.
Yeah. I don't like the 2D ones. I like the 3D ones a lot more. It makes me feel like I know where I am in space.
We're just dumb, Odd Job. That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess so. Croncy is Megamind, and we're just still rubbing two sticks together.
Yep. I still have not created fire, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. But all right, I guess that was a good enough tangent, and we'll let you go, Odd Job, because we're now over 2 hours. But we let the caller right before you go a little too long as well. So figure we
appreciate the call. Thank you as always.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
easy. Catch you, man.
And thank you to everyone else who is waiting and didn't make it in. We apologize, but that was wild, and that was the most callers we ever got on, so that was pretty sick.
Yeah, 11 people.
So thank you. That was sick. So we got all 11 in from the moment that we saw it.
All but 2.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it was good, and all the callers were really good, and except for Pakila, of course. But yeah, it was nice. And we didn't have our normal caller who takes up like 20 minutes, so that's why it worked out.
We got there,
but that was sweet. So I don't know, engineering, really excited to get my hands on, and I think server meshing is looking up for the first time in a while. So it's nice to end a show positively.
Yeah, it was a good positive week. Good testing, good videos. And it's unfortunate now that we probably won't see much of anything until CitizenCon.
Yeah,
I imagine even like roadmap roundup, we might see some stuff. Monthly report, we'll see, but a lot of it's probably going to be really secret.
Yeah,
and really sort of like hush hush.
Yeah.
So
and what
it's going to be probably quiet on their front.
We'll save the CitizenCon prediction show for after they release their schedule of what they're going to talk about, and then we can predict what those things are.
They did say this week that it would be soon, alluding to it was going to be this week or something, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll do that, and then until then, we'll go on some tangent topics so you guys can have your tangents, hopefully. All right. So that was that. I actually do not have my phone. I don't know where it is. So this show was very difficult. My audio stuff broke. Everything's broken. So I'm going to take the new gold-plated Manscaped shaver and say, don't forget to answer the call.
Answer the call. That is so scuffed.
Yep. It is very scuffed, but that's how we're doing it. So yeah, my dog might be eating it.